4th for the hot spot for rockets and more this Independence Day. Open 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. It's Roca Crazy Cracker Fireworks in downtown Roca.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see a chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny skies. The national high around 88. Tonight, a few showers early, then mainly cloudy skies. A low around 67. And tomorrow, we'll see decreasing clouds throughout the day with light winds. It'll be hot with a high near 91. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket. TheTicketFM.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at TheTicketFM.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
There's no better way to spark a child's imagination than to get lost in the adventure of a good book. I'm Jenny Benson, president of NSEA. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed. You can help by reading to your child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left at once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy. Yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Chancellor Brewington, powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
All right, welcome in to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington. As always, we got Brewington on the Allo VIP line. Really understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. You guys want to join in with the former Husker tight end? 402-464-5685 is the Starter Heyman text line. Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo Channel 961. If you want to put a face to the voice, with that being said, Chancellor Brewington, how's it going on a beautiful Thursday here in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Man, it's going great, man. I'm in Dallas or North Texas right now. It's beautiful, and I hope everyone listening having a good day. And man, just a whole bunch of just endless opportunities, man. I'm just blessed.
Man, you're traveling, man, these days. You were just in Wisconsin, now you're back in Texas. How's Texas weather like? It's not 100 degrees. I thought it was miserable down there.
Bro, I obviously come from Arizona, so that's dry heat out there, and out here you got like the humid heat, and so it's a completely different vibe. You start like sweating in like 85-degree weather, and you're like, what is going on? But it's awesome. I think it's awesome though. The only thing is there's some real big storms here, and I think I've experienced some of them in Nebraska, but there's some. I've just experienced probably the biggest storms I've ever kind of been in the vicinity for in my whole entire life.
Oh, I believe it, pal. They're making it all the way up here to Nebraska. I know exactly what storms you're talking about. Those big cells have been creeping their way up in Nebraska, so we've been like seeing them. But yeah, I suppose if you've been down there, you guys have been getting rocked for a while. I believe. Was it just that one night, or has it been a few nights now?
Yeah, it's been like 3 nights. Yeah. I mean, there's like built-in places and people. I mean, maybe it's like this in Nebraska, but built-in like safe rooms in people's houses out here for tornadoes, which is crazy.
Brewington, you tell me you didn't have a plan for a storm shelter while you were here in Nebraska for a tornado?
No, it was kind of just like sleep out.
That's a bold maneuver. I mean, for most people, to be fair, it's just a basement, and that's usually good enough. But yeah, you go to some places like Texas, they will have full-on vaults like back in the old days, the cellars where you got the 2 doors and you got to go climb down there during the tornado. But yeah, well, I know exactly what you're talking about. We haven't gotten the severity, but yeah, we've also had just every night thunderstorms, rain, and I'm almost certain that's the same storm that's carrying all the way up from where you're at. But as always, not here to talk about weather. Plenty of things have happened since we last spoke, Chancellor Brewington. I will give you the floor. Where do you want to start?
I feel like it's only right that we start with the NBA draft.
Okay, perfect. Quote, Nico Harrison. It was, I just actually blanking on it now. What did he say? He said, quote, I believe something along the lines of, what's the quote? You know what I'm saying? Some blank future favors the bold. Risk favors the bold. That's what his quote was after getting Cooper Flagg #1 overall. So I wasn't a big fan of that quote. I was like, easy there, bud. I don't know if you really deserve any credit for getting Cooper Flagg, but they got Cooper Flagg, and I guess in a long way, he did trade Luka Doncic, which hurt their win-loss total, and it made it low enough that despite a 2% chance, they were still able to get the #1 overall pick, which was going to be a slam dunk if you got Cooper Flagg. That was an easy answer. Where are you kind of sitting with that whole thing yet? Have we decided that's just, it's crazy, but it's not rigged? That's just sometimes how it happens? Or do you still feel a little bit weird about trading Luka to magically get Cooper Flagg #1 overall?
No, I feel a little like uneasy about it,
Yeah.
If I was a Dallas fan, that's kind of one of them scenarios you kind of just have to, laugh about it, because you're not gonna. I feel like you can't make it's too strong of evidence for the contrary, meaning like there's too much evidence towards it being fixed in some way, shape, or form. And I think I honestly look at the Cooper Flagg situation. They just extended Kyrie to another 3 years, so that's awesome. Him playing with a guard is going to be awesome. Him playing with another big is going to be awesome. But I think I really think. I think the Mavs are going to be. I don't know if I want to say special, but they're gonna have some talent, and I think maybe somebody saw this, in their head, in their mind's eye, in the future when making that Luka Doncic trade and that whole deal happening. So maybe.
So if I'm gonna flesh this whole thing out, it's like, what's the most profitable team? The Lakers. Okay. NBA's viewership's declining. How do we make more money? And let's send Luka over to the Lakers. No world will the Mavericks ever want to do that. How do we make it okay for the Mavericks? what if we make it so they get that number one pick? And again, this is all like, I don't even want to say it's evidence. This is just, if you follow the thought of how could this possibly happen, that's the conversations you have in your head. Otherwise, you're like, this is just insane luck, and this GM traded away the best player and got incredibly lucky. And that's the latter, what you're leaning on. And it's interesting with the Mavericks fan base, because like even after the draft, going through the comments, like a lot of people excited about Cooper Flagg, saying, welcome Cooper Flagg, we still want you fired, Nico Harrison. Or don't worry, Cooper Flagg, 3 years from now, they'll say you're getting fat and out of shape and trade you anyways. So like there's still a lot of ill will towards Nico Harrison as the GM for the Mavericks. And you know, he's going to save his career with Cooper Flagg. They're going to give him more time now. And to be fair, before the Luka Doncic trade, he actually was doing all right. Look at how that team's built, certainly competitive. But the Luka one still, it just still feels uneasy. Like I can't make it make sense on a one-off trade for Luka and AD still to this day, even if you get Cooper, it still doesn't make any sense at all, because you could have traded Luka for AD and picks, or Luka for any other big out there and some role players. Like you could have gone about it a bunch of different ways that would have led you with a big time all-star center and some more with it, as opposed to just a single one-off. So again, there's no real evidence to that, but it's just bizarre how this whole thing shook out, where those guys got the number one pick overall. And other news of the NBA draft, we'll quick get to it, and hopefully if we're lucky, he gets drafted live while we're on air. Nebraska's very own Bryce Williams, likely to get drafted in the second round. There's even a chance he'd be late in the first round. Bryce Williams, if you could put Bryce Williams on any team you want to, what's a good home for Bryce Williams?
Boy. Oh my gosh. Well, I would definitely pick somewhere where he can learn from someone, and it fits his style of game.
Yeah,
so,
6'7", I mean, positive wingspan. Like you got a tall guard who can, if he really picks up on defense, like just to build a model, you got a mismatch guard if he develops the way you want him to.
Yeah, I think he'd be really good fit for like OKC or like Boston.
Okay. The mock drafts, I'll throw this one at you and see how you feel about it, because they are set to pick quite a bit later, but at 22, a lot of the mock drafts think the Phoenix Suns are going to be hot to take him if he's still on the board.
Oh, that would be they could use him actually.
That was my thought, because at first I was like, and then I was like, oh yeah, KD's not there anymore. And you got Devin Booker. You got somewhat of a young team, but you still got some veterans in there. And you're not going to conflict roles at all, because his game, in my mind, is going to look similar to Kevin Durant if he hits a ceiling of, what his arc wants to be. I mean, just a tall mismatch guard that can shoot over people, really good in the mid-range pull-up. Like, a lot of his game is kind of Kevin Durant-like, where you get to your spots and you shoot over people. And you're just, when you're hot, and you're electric. So I like that one a lot. I think he can be impactful with the Suns if he continues to develop the way he was here at Nebraska. There's a real shot that we could have our first guy in a while carve out a legitimate role on that team. If he goes to the Suns, what does he need to do, or for any team in that matter, to prolong his NBA career?
Well, I think to start off, be effective on the defensive end, do the little things right. I mean, it's kind of like cliche answers from my point of view. It's like, do the little things right.
Mm-hmm.
If you can hit three balls when they're open, because that's the name of the game nowadays, and you're going to be asked probably to, be on some play off the ball, and that's going to be way different than, playing with the ball and his high usage rates with Nebraska. So playing off the ball, moving well, screening well, doing all the little things right. And then I think when it's time, when he gets his shot, like when he gets his literal shots, hit him. But I think he's a talented basketball player, so I think he's going to find his own way. What I'm saying, he knows that, and everyone in the league knows that too. So
yeah, and the thing that gives me hope is, you mentioned it, like defense, rookies, every single rookie is going to have to take that lesson. It's just a whole new level. But the thing about Bryce Williams is we saw it at times when he locked in on defense. He could be a solid defensive player. And again, that a lot of that just goes to the mismatch. 6'7", positive wingspan, so it's probably around 6'8", 6'9". Like, that's going to cause havoc. If he's out there and he's actively playing good defense, He's got good feet on him. Obviously, you're going to get used to that NBA speed. Some of these point guards blow by you before you know it. So there's a little adjustment. So he's not going to be stellar, I don't think, off the bat. But if you can continue to lean into that, yeah, I think it'll be phenomenal. And then, his part of his game at Nebraska, he was always patient. Brewington, I know you probably want to rip your hair out at times. Like, there's times this offense was on such bad droughts where it just felt like it almost for half of a half. 10 minutes, we'd just be out there hitting nothing but just back iron and bricks. And you still wouldn't see Bryce Williams take over and force himself into the offense. Now, there would at times, but it'd come later in the game. He had a really good patience about him of not forcing it and trying to see if his team can get in the mix, or at least that's the way I saw him playing it. Very seldomly just took over early on and doubted his team. Really good team player, so that gives me some hope. And again, that is defense as well. Like, you showed that defensively and just also his patience on offense. Give me the thing Bryce Williams does the best that you think is going to serve him well in the NBA before we get off it.
Sure, I think the number one thing is why he's even looked at is he can put the ball in the basket. So,
yeah.
I mean, if he couldn't do that, he would not be in a position to where he would be even considered on draft night. So I think that's one thing that when he continues to develop it, because I think it's kind of a no-brainer. He's just a natural scorer, and being able to, and I think he's just I'm trying to think of almost kind of like that clutch guy. Like, he's just, the moment doesn't seem like too big for him ever, and he just seems very poised. And I think that's something you don't really see, especially in guys who score all the time. Like, it's just rare, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially his length. So if he can combine all those things, I mean, he's gonna have a phenomenal career, and I'm sure it will help Nebraska's basketball recruiting out as well. I mean, just like we talk about with Nebraska football, the more guys in the NFL that are doing well, and, Cam Jurgens win a Super Bowl, and, all this different stuff, like, the more people who do well from Nebraska in the pros, the more people are going to want to come to Nebraska. And so that's just good for the program, for the state, for the city, everything.
Yeah, and that's where Fred Hoiberg has done well, getting guys to the league. We can be upset about some of the win-losses on the season, but, last 2 years, that's 2 20-plus win years. You had multiple years now where you're getting guys to the league. Isaiah Roby, Delano Banton, Bryce McGowan, Keisei Tamanaga got a stint. I don't think he's part of the NBA anymore. I think he might be playing in a foreign league. But, he had his opportunity. Sam Griesel, same thing, had his opportunity with the Celtics. He might still be on that roster. I'm not entirely sure. But we've had multiple guys now at least get to the league, whether it's by draft or after the draft. They pick him up as an undrafted agent. So you're getting more faces there, which, to your point, if you can just keep doing that and then keep having 20-win seasons, because, 20 wins is always kind of that bar mark. If you're playing Big Ten basketball and you get 20 wins, likely you did enough in conference play to set yourself up to get to the March of Madness tournament. So if you can do that, keep getting guys to the league, then I think you can actually start changing the culture of this place. With that being said, I believe it's year 7 with Fred Hoiberg. Did not make the tournament last year, but we won the college basketball crown. That's what really saved our record and got us, I think, at 21-14 was the final tally after the basketball crown. What is the expectations for Nebraska basketball next year? You get Rink Mast back. You've added guys like Kendall Blue. Obviously, your biggest guys are missing Juwan Gary, Bryce Williams. I don't have to overstate how valuable those guys were to this program, but you get Samford from Iowa, who lit us up on the 3-point line both times we played him last year. And then again, Kendall Blue, who younger guy, I think he can make an impact right away. Jamarcus Lawrence is coming back. Rink Mast will be healthy. And then you got Connor Season, Sam Hoiberg, guys that have been there before. I'm blanking on the kid who played for Ashland, had an incredible run in the college basketball crown as well. You're Cale Jacobson. He's there as well.
Yeah.
He showed up in a big way. So that's a huge asset to have in the offseason. With that being said, what are your expectations? How many wins, does Fred Hoiberg and crew need to have for you to, I don't want to say be happy, but not be worried?
Well, I think what Bryce Williams, I think he averaged somewhere around like 18 or something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you if that's exactly, but it's probably pretty close. 17, 18.
Okay,
19.
then I'd probably say Jawan Gary's probably around like 13.
Yep, 13. And rebounds,
Okay.
defense. I mean, defense was his big helper on this team.
Right. So we need to make up for 31 points on the offensive end.
Yeah.
Speaking a little bit of Moneyball language, but I mean, we got to make up for 31 points, and then obviously on the defensive end, make sure we continue to rebound. Because there's some good games where we're rebounding, and some games where that was a crucial point. And then I think it's honestly like just establishing more of a consistent identity offensively as like from a team landscape. Because I mean, I think sometimes when you have like that star player, it's like it's not as it's. I'm not trying to say it's like not like a team game, but it's just if one guy's not hot that night, then it's just a tough draw that night. And so I would just say just moving forward, making up for those 31 points on the offensive end, and just playing good defense and getting rebounds. Because in the Big Ten, especially if you're maybe a little small, I don't know how they rank up right now. Seems roster wise maybe a tad bit small.
We got some size out of the portal that'll help us out, but certainly Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary were good mismatches for us to have, and you're losing guys like Josiah Alec as well. So I think you could probably say we're getting smaller, but not by a ton. But I would say definitely less physical. I think looking at everybody we're going to have back. Now, it doesn't mean a bad thing. Might mean more production on offense, but I think for me the concern is defense right now.
Yeah, and they do say defense wins championship, and if you look at the NBA, I know it's a completely different ball game, like the way play style and stuff. But there's been the last few teams that have won the NBA Finals. They have played very, very, very solid defense. So
yeah, number one defense, OKC. There you have it. They won it in 7, and good defense. But if Tyrese Halliburton, I don't know what happened if Halliburton stayed healthy because he was lights off. But yeah, I mean, defense, and I use that all the time. You go to the NBA playoffs, even if you don't want to look at the finals, look at the Eastern and Western Conference finals, you're going to find good defense. March Madness every year.
True, too.
Yeah, it's just the reality of it. Every time March Madness, I go through the same thing. I like to pick the teams that have good defense because it's just, Chancellor Brewington, you play basketball. If you're a great defender, it's probably pretty easy to bring that consistently in and consistently off the court. When you're a great shooter, there's nights when you're just not hitting it and you can't find it. So that consistency is just so much harder to have. And then you're hoping that maybe another guy has it and he can take over. But that's when you're getting into the territory of, the Pacers thrived on it at times. But if you're banking on Mathurin to get you 27 in 20 minutes of play, that's a lot to ask for. Now he stepped up a plate and did it, but it's because you're getting inconsistency in your offense. And the Pacers were the number one offensive team. They thrived on that. And, it worked out because in those key moments, they had a Naismith knock 6 of 7 in the fourth quarter. They had Mathurin, like I said, 27 in 20 minutes of play. So they had those or TJ McConnell going nuclear in that first half of game 7 after Halliburton got hurt. So they were able to answer the bell. But when you get to the college level, especially, the offensive talent just isn't there. Typically, when you got your 1A, 2B, and now your 3 isn't really hitting either, you're in a world of trouble if you're not good defensively. And I just think that's the only area about Nebraska basketball I'm concerned about is can we not lose that focus on defense that we had? By still playing a little bit more aggressively on the fast break, I would like to see more. Do we have to go to the tournament? Or is it a bust no matter what if we don't make the March Madness tournament?
I think I hate the bust that, but I hate that like that's a thing in college football and in college basketball or just in sports like this or a bust. And I don't know if you can say that for this Nebraska basketball team. I think last year you could have made an argument like just because of the talent coming back and the pieces you have. But now I think that would be unreal. I think it would be, I don't know if it's unrealistic, but I just don't know the talent they have coming in. And you obviously lose talent. So I don't know if you're making that up,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm definitely not going to say that. Okay. I'm expecting them to win, go to the tournament or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be, just cut and dry about it. Like bust, you don't want to call it that. I think that's totally fair because at the end of the day, I never sit there at the end of the season. Well, all of those guys just wasted, their entire winter. They're not even like, obviously it's not a bust. Like even if they don't hoist a trophy, like I'm not saying those guys are wasting their time. It's not a waste of a season or anything, but it's more of the question of where we're at with Fred Hoiberg. And I'm still not near. We need to move on from Fred Hoiberg. I know it's been a while. I think COVID completely reset him. Because if you're a program that does not have a culture identified, does not have a roster intact, ready to go, and then got hit by COVID, chances were there's going to be nothing left at all when you got back and you're finally allowed. Where schools like Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, I mean, those are basketball powerhouses. They shut the lights off, but they just turned them back on and things were back to normal. Places like Nebraska is just much different story. So I'll give them a little bit of grace for that. But, you get to year 7, and that's where it's going to become a problem. If you see the progress of wins, back-to-back 20-plus wins, double-edged sword where the expectations are going to be there too. And how long can you stay in the just short of 20? We didn't make the tournament to we got 20, but it's because we won a bunch of games in the NIT or the college basketball crown. So that's where, the Fred Hoiberg question is more going to come up if we have a year where we don't make it to the tournament, as it's already popped up last year in the middle of the season. And for my sake, like, I'd like Fred Hoiberg as a coach, and I think it's really tough to win here in Nebraska. It's such a lame excuse at times. I understand why it frustrates people, but I don't know what our NIL operations look like. Football is king, and I don't mean that they win all the time. That would mean women's softball or volleyball. I mean, just financially, if we're being realistic, they bring in a ton of money. That's where a lot of the NIL efforts are. So I couldn't tell you where Nebraska competes NIL-wise with some of these other Big Ten schools. And again, that's where I like Fred Hoiberg, because I think he's done a good job finding guys like Rinkmast, who probably wasn't super highly sought out after. He had to go and find him. Diamond in the rough, fantastic player. And then still being able to get a few guys like the Bryce Williams, like the Bryce McGowans, being willing to put some money forward there. But I'm not sure how much it carries out through the rest of the roster. How much do you think Nebraska basketball is just a culture? I shouldn't say culture, more history, because I'm not blaming Fred Hoiberg for today's culture. A lack of history, or maybe even a lack of funding? Where do you sit on that?
Yeah, I think it's maybe from an outsider's, because I think it's also the outsider's perspective that weighs it's just so important. Like what a recruit thinks, and I think it's probably just the importance, of what Nebraska basketball is to Nebraska. Like if you rank it, like you talked about, like, you can make a real argument that Nebraska softball is of, greater importance than Nebraska basketball.
With Jordy Ball right now, like, yeah, you can legitimately make an argument like that.
Right. Or wrestling, or like all these other sports that are just absolutely killing it. So it's just tough. And that's not necessarily Nebraska basketball's fault. Although, I mean, win some more games, but you could say that for football, you could say that for everything. So it's like, I don't want to be that guy, but I also am just being realistic. Like, if you're coming to Nebraska, you're usually like, oh, volleyball and football. And even though football's not winning, it's just really off the success of the 90s teams. And so it's like, and the teams before that, of course, but like you're just in a tough position there as a basketball program. But the one way you get out of that position if you start winning. So nobody can say anything about, the basketball program being this or, this is and this, if they're winning ball games,
Yeah.
So if they can win ball games, then it's going to be a fun time, in Lincoln, Nebraska, because they show up for basketball. They support it. I'm not saying that by no means, because if you try to go park anywhere remotely close to downtown Lincoln when they play at Pinnacle Arena, you're not going to find a spot.
Yeah, I mean the vault is awesome. I love going down to the PBA. The last game I went to, unfortunately, it was Minnesota. Out there, we got, I want to say it was embarrassing loss in a way. That was one of those games where we had one of those huge droughts, and Bryce Williams at the end tried to save us. He did really well, just was too late at that point. But again, it's like it was in there. Fan base stayed through the whole thing. They wanted something to cheer for desperately, and that was the vibe you got. So the fans, And this goes for all sports in Nebraska. Like, if you want fans, win. I mean, Nebraska loves winners. They show up. They love sports and they love winners. So if you do a sport and you're winning, you're going to have a fan base show up, and it goes for all sports. Like the Big Red invite this year for Husker bowling, the place was packed. And I know not a lot of people might be super concerned with the bowling world. It's a bit of a new avenue. I was at Joseph learning about Division I bowling, but it just shows like that fan base. If you are good and you're winning, Nebraska fans are great. They'll get behind you every time. So hopefully that can be the case for Nebraska basketball. And like I said, I'm not down on it. I'm not sure if I'm optimistic either. I'm curious to see what this is going to look like, because there might be a little bit of philosophy change in terms of how fast these guys want to play. If they continue to double down on being a defensive first team, or with the, little bit of small ball, not totally small ball lineup, they go for more of an up-tempo, explosive offense like he had at Iowa State and what he tried to put in there with the Chicago Bulls. All right, with that being said, we'll talk some conference realignment on the other side. Chancellor Brewington, as there's one small tweak to the Pac-12. I'm not sure if you came across it already, but we'll talk about that next. Don't go anywhere. What's brewing? Chancellor Brewington, got him on the Allo VIP line. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy, yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Play ball!
Haymarket Park is buzzing with excitement this summer. Grab your crew and get in on the fun. Be sure to catch all the daily specials and promotions this season, like Thirsty Thursday, Fireworks Friday, Souvenir Saturday, Family Fun Day Sunday, plus special events and discounts all summer long. Don't miss out on the action as the Lincoln Salt Dogs take on their biggest rivals and knock the ball out of the park. Visit saltdogs.com and see this week's promotions and grab your tickets.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service, but it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your County Veteran Service Officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free, so visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
All right, welcome back in. What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington, segment number 2, as we still got Brewington on the Allo VIP line. And again, shout out to Teammates Mentoring. You guys can sign up to become a teammate today. Go to LincolnTeammates.org. And if you don't have the time to be a teammate mentor, there's other ways to contribute as well. Again, just check out their website. They got all sorts of ways you guys can help and support the really great organization that goes all the way back to Tom Osborne and his players, and keep that thing going, as it is a great service here in this local community. All right, Chance Brewington, got that. Sponsors stated proudly. Let's move on to conference realignment. Are you aware of the Pac-12 realignment yet?
I'm not, and I'm nervous to hear what you have to say.
Don't be. It's just what it is. Pac-12 keeping their head above water, doing everything they can to survive. So they are adding another school. Likely, this is not official yet, but a lot of reports have been coming out today in particular that this is going to happen likely before July 1st because there's some implications if it doesn't. So a school that I'm not even going to ask you to guess because you wouldn't be able to, Texas State, may be heavy favorites to join the Pac-12 recently, and looks like they'll be receiving official offer from the Pac-12 soon. Texas State will become the 9th team in the revamped Pac-12, which currently features, it's going to take a while to get used to this as well, Washington State, Oregon State, and then as well as Boise State's going to join them, Cal State, Fresno, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Utah State. Gonzaga being in there as an oddball, the only one in there that does not have a FBS football team. And if you add Texas State in there, that would give you 8 FBS football teams. And that's important because the league needs 8 schools with football teams to be an FBS member of football. And since Gonzaga does not have a football program, the Bobcats would become that 8th member and allow them to remain Pac-12 football in the FBS. Thoughts on that craziness?
That's tough. So wait, I'm looking up right now. Is Memphis? Where's Memphis?
Did they relocate too?
I'm trying to think. Because I think they would be an awesome team to have in the Big Ten.
They're in the AAC. They're in the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah, I thought that would be a good team, but I mean, it's cool. I think Texas State's in Texas, obviously, so you're gonna have good recruiting. You're gonna have good players there. They get a bunch of talent. They've had a bunch of guys throughout there in the past, 20 years. So I think it's good. I think it's so hard because you don't know the full picture. And what if they go 2-12 or 2-10 for the next 4 years, right? Like I don't know talent wise where they're at as a program right now. Are they like
past 3 years? They've been competitive, and I mean they're not winning their conferences. They're not kind of, I'd say it was like Nebraska. I kind of really want to use Nebraska as an example for that. About like six wins, usually bowling, just over 6 wins. I think that's about the type of history they've had as of late for Texas State.
Yeah, so I mean that's not too convincing, Harrison. I'm not gonna lie to you. So that changed it up. I was assuming you were gonna say that they were top 2 in the conference and they won it, 2 out of the past 3 years, and that's why they're getting this opportunity. So
let me fix it then. Okay, so last year they did go 8-5. That's better than just a couple wins over 6. And 2023, 8-5. 2022. Well, now this is okay. I think we start to get to the COVID era. So really after COVID, so 23 they have been playing better. So 8-5, and then back-to-back 8-5 seasons. And they did have last season, just to point it out, they did have a close loss to Arizona State, who did make the college football playoffs, and they lost it by 3 points, 31-28.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. It seems like a desperate move by the Pac-12.
Yeah, 100% is, I think. I mean,
yeah, like you need to fill this up quick. There's a deadline, and I'm sure there's I don't know who their TV, Fox Sports or whoever their TV sponsor or TV deal is with. Like they're probably like, hey, we agreed on X amount of games per week, and you're not, you need to make sure this, and this, and I'm sure other people are locked into, their conferences, just like probably Memphis is or all these other AAC schools. So like, it's incredibly probably a very tough situation for the Pac-12, and it's not like it's tough because you can't go back on something like this. Like you can't. Well, I'm sure you can, but it'd be kind of like you're kind of at your final straw when you start bringing teams in and then kicking them out a couple years later because they're not producing as you thought. So maybe because funding wise, what are they going to get? Are they going to get the?
Yeah, they get the revenue share with the Pac-12.
Okay, so that they're going to get $20 million.
I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what the viewership numbers look like for the Pac-12 and how much money they really make and how they get spread out with these. Because that's the other part. Like this Pac-12 this year, I cannot tell you how much money they're going to make.
Because that could be now that's a whole different Texas State. Now, if you give a Texas school that's not a premier school, obviously not TCU, Texas A&M, or TU. Like you give one of them schools like a few, some good chunk of NIL change, like they could have some real damage. So that 8-5, they could be 8-5 in the Pac-12. Like if they get some, NIL money, because that's really all it is.
Yeah, I mean it's NIL money and recruiting. But you get a little bit of advantage being in Texas State. Get those Texas recruits. Now, incredibly competitive recruiting rounds, but you're going to certainly have some connections there that'll help you out. And then the question is like how much more money is the Pac-12 going to be worth than like the Sun Belt that Texas State is leaving from? Because again, like you look at, someone's going to pay to get these games on their network,
right.
But I am selling you the slate of Boise State, Cal State, Fresno, Colorado State, Gonzaga, San Diego State, Utah State, Texas State, Washington State, and Oregon State. How much is a Fox, Peacock, or whatever the big ones are? How much are they going to pay for that package? Significantly less than obviously a Big Ten packages or SEC or even the ACC, even some of the independents. Like I don't know how much money's in it. It's certainly I think going to be an upgrade for them, but as the Pac-12 as a whole, I have a hard time trying to figure out what this conference is going to be because competitively, it's no brainer. No one looks at it nearly the same. Certainly lost a lot. What do you think the Pac-12 is going to be in 5 years? Does it get to a point to where it's, I mean, even you're looking at the Sun Belt or the Mountain West is a better conference than the Pac-12. Like, do you think they continue to fall, or do you think they patch themselves up and maybe, all these state schools that are in here get increased level of play and they separate themselves?
Well, I hope they're still around in 5 years, to be honest with you.
Yeah, see, I didn't want to go that dark, but
risky.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
It's adding Texas State is a risky move. Like that's not a guarantee for success, and there's major risk, and it can go very badly. And the reason why it can go bad is because you're already on your last leg. So now you're just shooting up in the air, hoping or you're throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping some stick. Like it's tough right now. So and I mean, the teams that are already in there aren't like a fan favorite across the nation to watch. So make no mistake about that. So that's not helping them at all.
I think they're going to be leaning on Boise State heavy, I think, to draw in a lot of revenue.
Boise State's like a good grab, but Ashton Genty's not there. So is the viewers, if Boise State goes, 4-8 next year because their whole team was Ashton Genty, like, are they going to, is that going to draw a bunch of viewership? Like what can save you, of course, is a Heisman runner coming out of the Pac-12. So that's always a possibility. So, yeah.
It's a possibility. Dylan Raiola might win the Heisman this year. It's a possibility.
Right. Like, yeah, like literally out of the infinite number of possibilities. that is literally what I'm saying. So, yeah, I'm hoping for the best because I want college football to have 5 conferences and a couple independent teams that people watch, and you can have some competitive football games, but it's just tough. You change the landscape of not only the SEC but also Big Ten, and you're kind of leaving Pac-12 to kind of defend for themselves. And if they can make something work, then cool. But like, who is Texas State going to go play? Are they going to go play the Pac-12 two schools, and then like their out of conference games? Are they going to go play like schools that they just came from, right?
Probably.
Or are they going to go play like Kansas, or like they're going to play those teams? And like those aren't those. I mean, you mess around and lose all your out of conference games, and then you lose your in-state, a couple of your in-conference ones. You're down bad. And that could possibly be the same situation for Boise State. I think Oregon State surprised me last year. They did a little better than I expected, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I fall on it, is like I don't blame the Pac-12 at all, because desperate move, maybe. They're drowning. I hope they're acting a little bit frantically. They got to grab something for anything, because there's not, trying to keep their head above water right now. So, is it super thought out? Maybe. Like I said, this came through today, and it just kind of caught me off guard, trying to figure out why Texas State. But then you realize, like, oh, that's right. Gonzaga's not they don't have a football team. They need to get another football school in here. And then the deadline is July, at least if you're grabbing a Sun Belt school, because, again, if Texas State wants to get out of the Sun Belt Conference to join the Pac-12, they got to pay $5 million severance fee. If it gets to next month, if it gets to July 1st, which that's next week, Tuesday, and they're still not signed out of it and signed in with the Pac-12, then it's a $10 million severance fee. So that's why it's coming down the barrel, why people think probably happened this weekend. But yeah, I think it feels like the Pac-12 trying to act quickly to make sure they get that school in there so they can still exist, quite simply, and be a football conference playing FBS football at the Division I level. So that's where I'm at with those guys. Best of luck to the Pac-12. And I know I'm too much of a romantic when it comes to tradition in college football, especially with NIL. At times it feels unrealistic to look at college football this way, but seeing the Pac-12 go down, would that bother you significantly, or you might be too soft-hearted about that, seeing the Pac-12 if it were to eventually fall?
Yeah, some of my favorite teams growing up, we're in the Pac-12 because it was closer. There was a few ASU teams. The one with Jalen Strong, U of A had some teams. USC when Suwa Cravens was there, and
USC has just been Heisman after Heisman.
Yeah, when they had Adoree Jackson was there, Juju Smith, they had some dogs there, and Colorado even had some years with what's his name, Philip Lindsay when he was there, and I'm trying to think. Washington had crazy talent when they had Byron Murphy, he's from Arizona. He went second round to the Cardinals corner there. They had that whole backfield went second round.
They just had Michael Penix Jr. in Rome, not too long ago, and those guys were electric.
Buda Baker, Tyler Rapp, they had electric guys across the board. And the dude who John Ross when he was there. And then you I could just go down the list. Like even Oregon State has some dogs as well. And Oregon, I had a lot of buddies who played at Oregon, and so it's just kind of like nostalgic. You look back like, dang, remember when it was like this? Like, remember when, this and this? But the days are definitely different, man. Like, I talk to guys in college football right now. I'm like, hey, bro, what is the difference between when I played and what's going on here now? And he's like, bro, it's not even close to the same. It's not even close. It is completely different. You got young guys coming in, and I'm not even talking about Nebraska, but you got young guys coming in making more than the older guys, and everyone knows it. And then that adds a complex to the younger guys. And then you have, older guys this, and this, and, the transfer portal. The game is completely different. So it's only a matter of time till this type of stuff was going to happen anyways, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm maybe toughen up a little bit and understand this is pretty inevitable, the direction that college football has been going. So I shouldn't sit here and be surprised when I see the Pac-12 struggle, especially when every move has been controlled by, it's felt like the Big Ten and the SEC, everybody else just trying to find their flooring and get some steady ground. But then, while you're trying to do that, it's going through the courts, and you don't know what the verdict's going to be on that either. And you also have less money to throw around and defend yourself or to set yourself up for whatever the verdict may be. So it just leads to a really bad spot for the schools that small don't have a lot of money. To be super just cut and dry about it, you don't have to be brilliant to figure out that smaller schools are having a much tougher time in this era of college football. And, it's going to have ripple effects. We'll see what those ripple effects look like, if it actually hurts the product of college football down the road, or, they were right to do it, and that's all people ever wanted was big game after big game, traveling from East to West Coast, not to play rivals, but to play who is the toughest team in the land. So I could be wrong on that. Again, I'm more traditional when it comes to college football, but, the Pac-12 dying, that one, to wrap it up here, as we got to throw it to break, it's Pac-12 at night. I'd stay up to watch that. This version of the Pac-12, I will fall asleep to that Pac-12. I'll put it on, but let's be real. It's not going to have that same alert to it. That being said, I still hope for their survival. We'll throw it to break, though. One more segment. What's brewing with Chancellor Brewington?
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous. 5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
How is your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you wanna come and text us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
This is Mommy's jam.
then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
Their age?
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now, it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by the Teammates Mentoring Program.
All right, wrapping things up here. Final segment. What's Brewing with Chancellor Brewington? Only got a few minutes left here before we set up some of the best of the ticket throughout the week for the last hour here on Ticket Weeknights. Keep your content live for you guys before we switch things over to the national satellite. But Chancellor Brewington, wrapping things up here. I want to go. Well, I'll ask you this. Do you want to go through the real quickly Big Ten teams with the most returning starters, or do you want to talk specifically Husker football?
Oh, yeah, I like that one. The returning starters.
Okay. Give me the Big Ten the Big Ten team who you think has the most starters coming back. And I'll give you a hint. I've been very high on them. They got a coach who's gotten some controversy last year versus, I'm blanking on the game where that happened. I believe it was the bowl game, but we don't have them on our schedule this year. It's been a good matchup between us these past few years. We did play them last year on our field. 16 guys coming back.
Probably UCLA.
Illinois. Got 16 starters coming back. 9 on offense, 7 on defense.
That's scary.
And we went through Illinois' schedule. It's weak.
Scary right there.
Yeah. Illinois could seriously be, at the end of the year, competing for a Big Ten championship. Like, honestly, with the schedule, the way that thing's lined up, they could have the best record in the Big Ten and be up there with Penn State, Oregon. I think they could do it.
Is their quarterback coming back?
Yeah. Luke Altmaier's back. Their entire
and all the big old tight ends.
They got one tight end back. They got to replace one tight end, one wide receiver.
Oh my gosh, because they had two wide receivers. So
yeah, they're
pretty good defense too.
Yeah, Colin Dixon's still there, the wide receiver that I think more people would be happy to see him go, but he's back as well. And like I said, I mean, left guard to left tackle to right tackle, everyone's back there. And defense, you got 7 guys coming back there as well, and they've made some transfer portal moves. So watch out for Illinois if you haven't been already. Next, just since we don't got a lot of time here, Penn State has got 14 coming back. Michigan's got 13. I believe Nebraska has 9. Yep, Nebraska has 9 guys coming back. Iowa's got 10. Minnesota's got 10. Northwestern's got 10. Rutgers 10. Wisconsin 9. Michigan 9. And then we're pretty much everyone's same ballpark, 9-9, until you get to which team in the Big Ten do you think has the worst amount of players coming back starters? And it makes sense because they got a new head coach.
Is it Ohio State?
Purdue.
Oh, Purdue? Oh, yeah, I should have knew that.
one guy coming back. Devin Mockabee, running back. He's there. Otherwise,
that dude's good.
He's
that
good.
Dude, his breakout game was Nebraska in 2022. So I'll forever remember that name.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's been there for a while. Yeah, he's not flipping the script. He's gonna be there for another year. And again, that's where I'm not gonna beat up on Purdue too much. Not super surprising with the new head coach in there, but when was the last time you remember Purdue being scary? Like, was there ever a time you guys had Purdue on the schedule that you were legitimately worried?
Yeah, when they had their quarterback. They had a tight end who got drafted, and they had a good quarterback, but they had the D lineman who went first round to the Chiefs. Remember?
Yeah. I'm blanking on that year for those guys.
Gosh, I should know this, but he was a beast. He was like it was him and Aiden Hutchinson. They were like in the 1, 2, and 3 conversations of D linemen. So it was that was a pretty good year for them, I would think.
Yeah, and to be true, like, just to be fair, we have had what feels like multiple years where we want to, like, looking at Purdue and not giving them as much respect as they deserve. It's been a lot of close games with Purdue. So, in all fairness, I'm not poo-pooing on the entire Purdue Boilermakers, because it's not like we've just came in there and kicked their butts either. They do have some culture going on there. Otherwise, it'd be a lot more walk apart. Even last year, I think we didn't really beat them until the second half, and John Bullock had to pick it off, finally get some momentum for us. So, not trying to throw too much shade over there at Purdue, but Chancellor Brewington, appreciate it as always. I will talk to you again on Monday, July 30th. But until then, appreciate it as always. We'll keep Ticket Weeknights rolling. Best of the Ticket coming up next.